I created the best Dreadshore base in the latest Meet Your Maker update, and you won't survive. I'll go through all the new goodies that raiders and builders can use alongside building our own new Dreadshore base for you to be able to raid. Make sure to visit the link in the description below to find out more about Meet Your Maker, and thanks to the sponsors of this video, Behavior Interactive, the developers of Meet Your Maker. And if you want to raid my new base right now, you can do so. Go to social raid, search up Saltville, and be able to raid my base, and I will be reviewing this in part 2 of our next video. So do that now before watching the rest of this video. Also, there is a free trial of Meet Your Maker until July 3rd, so jump into the action and raid my base this weekend. Notice the trap's active. Does he realize the next point? He doesn't, and he dies. Oh no, he got killed by the Ravager. Well done. Oh my god, the laser beams. So he's using the new cannon as well. I don't think that's good for this area at all. It's really bad for this area. He may die. Oh my god, the Ravager got him midair. Perfect. Play solo or with a friend as you mastermind devious outposts full of traps and guards, then gear up for methodical, fast-paced combat, raiding other players' creations. Meet Your Maker has been designed for the long term, delivering content to expand your experience and arsenal year-round. Meet Your Maker is available on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. We have the new Demolition cannon, a cannon that fires reusable explosive shells that deal massive damage. Essentially a grenade launcher. And there's also a Nautilus skin for it, as you see here. As if I was to shoot it around here, it doesn't directly blow up instantaneously, so you keep in mind there's actually an impact time. So when you actually impact, then the timer activates and then it blows up. If I stand too close to it, I can actually die as well. There's infinite amount of usage. And what I mean by infinite amount, you can shoot as many as you want and be able to pick it up like it's nothing. But it makes bases like this infinitely easier if you're able to destroy the first part and be able to push through. It's maybe a weapon that's more used in co-op play, because it does have that synergy that maybe you have a second partner that is able to utilize the grenade launcher, aka the cannon, while your teammate uses a ranged weapon or even a melee weapon to help out with pushing traps. And then we move on to the new guard, being the Ravager, an aggressive subclone who fires bolts that spread out. And this is quite interesting because you have the Enforcer, which is a pinpoint location, but now you have a shot that spreads out horizontally, which the Ravager doesn't activate from that range. So what it does actually is get close enough towards you, so the cone of damage that it does shoot out actually hits you. The further away you away from it, it makes it much easier to actually dodge the shots. That's the exact way you can dodge it. You can even jump up to get different angles and play with the elevation of the shot to make it incredibly easy to dodge. Quite easy. But it only activates when it's close range, unless you space it in a way that it can actually stop moving and shoot from a distance away. If that is your design intent, keep in mind that it actually can shoot traps. This would only be good in an open area, or maybe to catch players off when they're trying to escape with the gem mat. And now we'll move on to the Custodians, as we have a new Custodian being Nautilus, and this character is based on defensive mechanics, and through its perks, as you see here, everything rewards you for a perfect block. So once you perfect block, you're able to get benefits of extending your block duration, and also after using a block, being the arc barrier weapon, your recharge time is decreased as well, so you are rewarded for using defensive mechanics in your gameplay, and it's quite fun to see this. And you can actually mix and match, and what I mean by that, once you get to the highest point in a perk, you can mix and match it. And since we've done that already, we've got all the perks available towards us, and in my class currently, I have a couple of unique perks. Being one based on the new class, Countercharge, rewards me for doing a perfect block with Mark Barrier. Then alongside that, we have two from the Iron side aspects here with the bio links. One being Rapid Fire, increase the fire rate of our weapons by 20%, and also pick up our ammo at a greater distance at 50% extra. And that's really amazing. If your playstyle does change, say if you want to use a melee weapon instead of a ranged weapon, you can also change it here with your other Custodian and mix and match the abilities together in order to reach your new playstyle and what you desire when playing Meet Your Maker. And we also can't forget the skin. It looks like Big Daddy from Bioshock 2. The new trap being the Sentry beam tracks its target before firing a laser beam that bounces off surfaces, triggers until destroyed. So pretty much you can shoot infinite amounts until a raider does actually destroy this. And it's kind of interesting. With the modifications that we have, we've unlocked two, which I think are the best: Over Amplify and Pinball. You can also go for Target Lock as well. Target Lock will increase the tracking speed. Pinball does increase the width of the laser beam. And Over Amplify will increase the deflecting mechanic, because it can deflect the laser beam by another 2 chances. So pretty much a total of 5 deflects from one single laser beam, from one Sentry beam. And that's kind of crazy. And then you have second wave. You know how that works. Pick up the gem mat. It turns on. It destroys you. And let's highlight the new vibe. As you see right now, it's looking crazy. The way everything comes together in this area is nuts. The new raining environment and the lighthouse in the distance, it is very atmospheric to say the least. And we have our area which looks kind of decent. we can possibly work with this really, really well, especially because it doesn't seem like there's too many things ahead of us. There's already a path set out for us. If you want to go for that path, you can do so. But in this case, we're not. We're going to access our build menu, then strip Outpost. Completely clear that. Perfect. And let's showcase the new elements in action as well. And these are the new building blocks that you can utilize in Meet Your Maker for this update. As you can see, we've got some of the actual facades changed, highlighting a heater, then reinforcements here, a plumbing section most likely, with valves, and then more reinforcement here. As see through this Tempest Cove element. Lighting and moving parts, it's quite nice to see in action. Those are the new building blocks they have and can utilize. And the new trap, as you see right over here, the detection range is kind of unique, as it comes in a different angle. It's more of a cone shape. It tracks you, then goes orange, and then starts using the beam. And then deflects, as you see there. So it's quite interesting. It even activates from this angle here, quite low. And you see it deflects into the distance above. Very interesting. 3 stages. It goes from yellow, tracking, orange is set, and then red is obviously kill. And you die on contact instantaneously. And why detection range is interesting, it's the first trap in the game that has a detection range that is like this. It's no longer a direct square going out, or rectangle going out towards a couple of cubes. It actually has a factor like this. So if you stand here, you're safe. But if you activate from here, it can actually still trigger on you here, I believe. It can still actually detect you after you've passed this zone. So it can actually still hit you here. If you're in a corridor of some sort, they can actually bounce off surfaces and get you killed too. And with this laser beam trap, as you can see, it's quite interesting once you get close towards it. It's able to bounce in corridors really well. Combine this with a couple other traps at the same time, it can actually cause havoc, because you have to pay attention to a couple things and try your best to be completely safe from this laser beam. So in corridor spaces, it can be quite good. But even in the basic application of placing it in an open room like this, it gets kind of crazy, as you can see. But the best thing is, your arc barrier can protect you and deflect the beam back towards the traps and actually destroy it. That's what I was talking about earlier. It came to the arc barrier and the Nautilus perks that you have being direct counters to the Sentry beam. It'll keep you safe and make sure you're protected. And if the Sentry beams do reflect back on each other, they actually kill each other too. They act like any type of projectile in the game. It's really cool to see. Obviously, this will be hard to use around these areas, but you can make it work. Just have to understand impact and how it ricochets off certain objects. And also during our live streams, we had a couple of ideas, which was to create fake corridors, which will allow players to be able to move through these areas, these spaces, and try to figure a way to get out, maybe find some loot on the way, then get back to the section where they have to go to their main area and escape. But with this mechanic here, we can actually play Sentry beams, and I'll show you how that looks. You play Sentry beams just like this, and it'll create some interesting opportunities. The Sentry beams are active at this current time, so I'm going through. Oh crap, gotta move. Then try to go back here, try to keep myself safe. Watching out. Maybe I found the way, perfect. Maybe I think it's that way, and I go that way. And I'm trying to get through. And the idea was to create potential angles and sight lines for these traps to actually activate. Then you start to realize maybe cubes aren't the best, because the way they deflect of cubes don't really work at full efficiency. So what you can do is change the geometry of everything around to a different object. So instead of having cubes here, you possibly make them triangles instead. And triangles have interesting sight lines, but also allow for a different type of deflection. As you see, if it was able to bounce off here, it would be a 90-degree angle to hit this location. But if this was also triangle 2, now we get this interesting bounce between this trap, as it's able to hit a couple things at the same time. And now we have this triangle formation being utilized at the very start to show you how it actually changes in this space. So detect us, wait for the orange marker to show you how it looks. Another thing that you start to realize, maybe the traps shouldn't be as low, because they actually aim at your feet. So it makes the angle very hard to actually showcase, but that may showcase it. I see it bounces between a couple objects and hits this angle here. So that's quite nice. We can also place these modifications on it, being over amplify and also pinball, which I believe helps out with the deflection as well. So let's keep that on. But over amplify will be the most mandatory one to have. As you see, the reflections happen. Obviously, depending on your space, you may want to enclose it more, so then it actually doesn't bounce out, it bounces in. So it creates unique angles. As you see? And hopefully catch raiders off guard with this mechanic. So those are one of the things that we found out during our live stream, which seemed to be the most prominent way of utilizing it, but also it can be in addition to any kill box, how it seems to it, because the way it activates doesn't really affect many traps except for a potential piston trap on the way. They can have these quite openly anywhere, and that will usually be alright to utilize. So we have a couple of interesting situations here. I can do a couple things with this base here. I can ramp it up in a certain way to reach the bottom 4, because we can play with the bottom quite a bit here, which I think might be a good idea. As it seems like majority of our tombs are on the surface and not underneath. Yeah, I think they are. Plus, will work with that too, to make it more engaging for the players and the raiders to get the currency on the way, as we usually like to promote that. So currently my goal is to play with the Ravagers, as we right now have 3 Ravagers on the bottom here, creating some false indication of where to go when you actually come through this corridor space. You go downwards and like, oh crap, where do I go? You see another route over here. You go over here, overshot from there, or a spike shot in general will be able to hopefully kill you as you get around that corner. We can layer this up with more traps. But with the Ravagers here, they've actually got a cone effect, and I don't want to put any other traps next to them just in case, so it doesn't affect that potential. But traps hovering up, where they can't shoot up unless someone's jumping, obviously, can work really well here. I see with these flame traps that I'm trying to angle towards here, and maybe Flame Walker is still applicable, be able to use Flame Walker Warmongers to actually help out with this. And we're trying to create an interesting grenade trap at the very start. Cause players confusion, as you can see this grenade trap here, and it splits in this area here with these 2 angles into this acid, also being oblique here, so they can't see the trap from above when they're going through, and hopefully it activates and bounces between those. We're still trying to test it, and hopefully it does work out. And with the rest of the kit here, with the cannon back here, and Enforcer as well for more pinpoint damage, or having increased fire rate as well to make this go really crazy. Let's enter this. We'll run it from here. And it does work. It does go behind you too. Cool. May have to actually split it so it goes back into this room. Yeah, if we're able to redirect it into this room, it can be kind of nutty. So let's try to figure that out. Oh my god, it works. It works perfectly. Okay, nice. I can save some traps, hopefully. So what we try to create here is actually a system that's able to bounce the bombs through this acid, which you make it also oblique, so no one can actually see what's up above. And it also comes from here on an activation when you're passing this rail here, and you don't really have much to run out from. It activates here. If you go ahead, you have to deal with maybe nades bouncing over. If not, maybe they just go down here and you get clustered here. If you stand here, you're still going to die because the redirection that happens up here towards this area. That also rolls down to here a bit as well. So that's a crazy grenade trap. Love to see the utilization of that in its full factor. Now let's test this out. So going through this base, my new Dreadshore base, lasers activate. I walk backwards here, so I think I'm safe. Not realizing there's nades around me. Cool. That trap broke to the nade, or maybe to a laser. That could ricochet even better if I'm able to actually get it to have modifiers on them. Make them ricochet into this space and bounce here. Because it has pretty much a good angle for it. Unless it goes up there and destroys that trap, that'll be hilarious. And the flames don't really work here anymore, so we may have to change that to another laser. Or maybe just square it off, which could be smart too. Actually placing something like this, and putting the trap here instead. And if I'm lucky enough, I can maybe put another sentry there that could possibly still activate. Oh, it's a hard one to activate, but it still does work out to a certain degree. Unless I can try to create a possible sightline here. Let me try. I love trying new stuff in this game and testing it out to its full extent. It could maybe. I want to try it out. We have to try it out. Testing it again. Sentry 1. Covers the noise of everything, actually. Well done. It's actually kind of nice. I like that. Trap broke there, so we got to keep that in mind. That will be lost on the first incident. Well, the ones behind it still work out pretty well. Flames there will stop us for a bit. It looks like Flame Walker Mongers are also being taken out of the game to a certain degree, or bugged out. I'm not sure. Kind of like this. And then also, if I go around this corner here, I get shot by that, and it actually can't break the trap. This can still ricochet to a certain degree, but it will destroy itself. Okay, maybe we have to angle that better. I'm trying to create an influx of traps that activate depending on positioning and covered up by the laser sounds at the same time. Which seems to be working pretty well. The laser nearly got me killed too if my arc barrier wasn't still applicable. That trap broke. That trap is still active, and I still have to put modifiers on them. So if I can put modifiers on them, they can get even nuttier. So that's good to see. Flame trap here, so I have to play a bit safe. But I can see myself breaking that like it's nothing. It's not too hard. Plasma cloud here. Ravagers. The Ravagers actually do good here. They seem to do pretty decent, actually. Not too bad. There's also a Flame Trap which activates behind us, so we force push in. Oh, that's going to be a hard one to activate. And it's quite a bit to dodge, as you see. Yeah, not too bad in my opinion. That trap kills itself. Continue. Ravager's there. You're going to keep trying to push through. Push through this, and then out of nowhere, potentially get killed by this, depending if you got Perfect Block or not on the arc barrier. Die 1,000 times. Oh, Jesus. Then from here, as I'm running through, I believe that can still shoot me. Maybe not. Maybe the Ravager needs to change a bit. But I feel like I can't use the Ravager as well as I want to. So I want it to be in an open area, but maybe this isn't open enough for it. Then from here, a bit of pacing to breathe and recollect yourself and be like, oh my god, am I going the right way? After the first mistake you make, then you see here, then you go around, potentially get killed. If not, you'll be able to get the loot there as well. Free loot. Nice. Then over here, now might need a change, but it seems pretty good. You know what? That could potentially work as a little gimmick to hold you in place after you've been shot at. Just depends. Then from here, activation of trap. It's us just testing it all out. I feel like it works better in reverse. Okay, seems like I did a lot of testing on this base. Look how large it became. And it's kind of nutty. So let's highlight it as we go through this. Ravager's still there. Maybe the Ravager spawn, we can change it. Possibly. But I feel like it's a cheeky Ravager. It may actually get killed. Then a brief moment of silence. And just going through this area, this corridor. Then try and go around the corner and realize you're getting shot by a crossbow there. Good way to maybe put a trap here, maybe. Could possibly be a good trap there if we want to adapt that. Then these activate like this. And it's kind of crazy, as you can see. If we give them the right amplifications, they can actually do some nutty stuff overall. Flames, I've got to push up now. Push up again. I'm in this sweet position. Shield. Pretty safe. And then out of nowhere, the real trouble begins. And you may die here. This is actually just having fun. As you can see from the laser beams going nuts. This is actually hilarious. Let's see if I pass through this. Ravager activates. If I try to jump into the sky in this area, or high elevation, also got to deal with everything that comes from that. Just get a moment to breathe. Oh my god. And the Ravager's shooting you in midair as well. Dodge this, pass through. Watch it for that. Die to this, die to that. Get killed by this. You try and kill the piston and not realize that you kill the piston while not hearing that. Then a trap here, you're like, what the hell's going on here? Trying to realize maybe this might need to change, this area here. I'll fix it up. Then from here, he traps. Bounces pretty close. Oh shit. Try to dodge this. That activates. I don't think that activated. It only activates here. We're gonna try that again. Doesn't seem too bad. I feel like it still works pretty well to cause some havoc towards the end. Maybe this room here I should decrease some of the traps, because some of them may not be useful at all, because it'd be too many. Like maybe these ones here. So there's still optical usage, but there's also not overkill, so it doesn't destroy each other, these traps. Because I feel like that's the problem when you have too many, it's overkill. Or potentially overkill. I think that's better. I think it's way better. Now we've got more resources to play with too. Now this one's interesting, because if I put a trap here, and it activates by the player peeking out, it can actually have potential to bounce in here. Let's try to do that. Potentially have a cannon back here too, on the very top. Dodge that. Get ammo. That did activate as soon as it went past. The thing is, you want it to track in a good direction. And not like that. So we have to cut this corner out. So we can try to fix that as well. More traps. Those just came volleying in. Flames as well. Gotta watch out. Play smart here so I don't die. That blew up to the other trap. Sentries everywhere. As you see, sentries somehow kill each other, so you gotta be very careful. Sometimes they'll pay off one by one, but you want them to be in more open areas. Unless you've got the geometry correct. Then we have the open area, which is just chaotic as hell. Try to push it normally. There's chances that you can actually die here. As you see. Just make you reset the whole thing. You jump in the sky. Ravagers will try and kill you at the same time. Due to the horizontal spread, it's actually quite good. Past this. Try our best to at least. That activates. As the pistons were destroyed earlier. Double shot, so you gotta watch out. Block that. Cannon does activate from there. And I believe it has short leash, so it shouldn't come down. Actually, I'm 100% incorrect. Yeah, it doesn't have it. It's a bit of a nuisance to deal with, but quite fun. Passing this. Watching out for everything. Picking up my goodies. Blocking all the traps so I don't die. Trying to push out. Realize I can potentially get killed here, and then dead. Okay, interesting. The Bloodlust Warrior doesn't really work from outside, so I'm going to try to fix that. This area I have to block off. Cannon back, we may have to put a short leash on him. That one right there. Which will hopefully allow it to actually bounce more as well. I think that will allow it to bounce way more. And the one thing you need to make sure they know is that you're a master player. So just spray it everywhere that you possibly can. So they know about it as they enter the base. And what we try to do is utilize the Ravagers in order to actually cover horizontal spread as much as possible. Well, this will be active from this point here as we go through this area. But also we'll be able to still shoot a player on this corner here. So it's still activatable in that aspect, which is quite nice. And hopefully catches people off guard when they forget about it on the way back. And then with our sentry traps, we want them to bounce in certain areas to create opportunity where people may activate it from a sideline, which will activate the tracking mode. And then from tracking, we'll go to orange beam into red beam. And then hopefully that red beam location will actually get an opportunity for a kill. So it's a lot of RNG at this point in order to get the possibility of that occurring. And some of our traps are being sacrificed in order to activate grenade traps as well as a possibility to create these mini choke points where if a player does push, they could get killed on this side from the grenade trap activating this way as well, as it bounces in this area here, as you will see. Bounces from here, goes down on activation, and then also bounces here, goes down this way, and goes into this cluster. So if a player tries to push through, hopefully the sentry beams do actually cover up the sound of the grenade launcher, or the grenade trap being activated, and get some sneaky kills that way. Then we have a plasma cloud here, create a little bit of a choke point, where the player has to actually shoot and try and push through. But as they're going through, they're activating some of these traps to make people have fun, but also have a chance of getting some sneaky kills here, through creating these hard points where you can't actually see. And if you try to go up, you're going to deal with all these traps and also the Ravagers, which are really good for horizontal air combat, like keeping control of it. So if someone tries to latch on here and they try to jump, there's a chance they can actually get killed by these Ravagers. Or they try to speedrun through it, they can get killed by the Ravagers alongside our other traps too. As you see, then pistons. And if you kill this piston with a melee weapon or try to go shoot it and not look around that corner at the same time, you get killed by that trap. There you get killed by the cannon back. As you're pushing up, there's potential grenade trap that you'll be able to witness. And these will be on second wave, activation, and just a whole bunch of havoc. And then the reason you're kind of safe, if you decide to speedrun through this mission or through this map and my base on Dreadshore, you'll be able to have certain points where you can actually get killed again on the way out. Just because this may still be here as a cluster. And they have to try and speed run through it again. And you only get 2 spike drives, so it may be quite difficult for players to do so. But with Nautilus being the defensive character it is, it might be quite easy. We have to test it and see what actually occurs through our base. That's the way it looks. Kind of a crazy structure. As you'll be able to see, pretty much like a bird's eye view of this. In our isometric view, we have the cluster there of traps and grenade traps that go together. Second cluster over here, highlighting a potential way to enter another point, but it actually is a dead end and you die. And then go from there into a loot location / spike. Then from there, go into this area here. More havoc is caused. Big room down here. Go wrap around here. up there, another choke point. It's just a series of choke points in order to make the player feel like there's points to breathe, but also points to be on your feet, and also crazy chaotic moments on the way too. And then up here, the last stand, where everything goes batshit crazy, and then second wave activates and potentially gets a kill just because of that. And that will make you have to restart and go from the very start where Harvey is, and go through the whole mission again, hoping to collect my gem mat. And that's why it's quite cool. I do enjoy this. Very interesting build. Maybe one of the best builds for Dreadshore, and you could actually make even crazier builds with the Sentry Beam if you want to be 100% exact with the locations and the way it ricochets off objects with those triangle structures or triangle wall systems, aka the stairs, in order to get those opportunities to occur. But it has to be kind of crazy, and the RNG has to be really high up for it to happen, as we tested in our live stream and tested it today as well in our build. If you've reached this far into the video, I thank you for your support, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Tell me your thoughts below. It's been a pleasure, and make sure to check out this video on screen right now for more content.